and welcome to my channel. I am Stephanie, and these are the 2019 Bookish Academy Award nominations for Best Director. So, Bookish Academy Award nominations for Best Director, i.e. Best New to Me Author. So the criteria for this category is that I had to have not read any of the books within this person's category, or within this person's dialogue or catalog. There we go, catalog. And I had to have enjoyed their books. I then read more of their books, or I went and purchased their books. So let's just get into it. I picked one for each month because that was going to be the easiest, because as I said, some of these authors, I ended up reading multiple books for them later on after I read them for the first time, so they may get a nomination, and you may hear about their books later on in other categories and things like that. But the month that they are nominated for is the month that I read them, and they were new to me. So the January nomination goes to Kate Canterbury. I had heard of Kate before, and I had purchased quite a few of her books, but I had never read any of her books until I read Fresh Catch, and I was just totally intrigued by this book. I was drawn in. It's a male-male romance, and I really enjoyed it. I then went down a rabbit hole of reading Kate's books and have really enjoyed them. I actually got to meet Kate at Indies Invade Philly, and I was super excited about that. The February nomination goes to Rebekah Yarros, and once again, another author where I had collected her books. However, I had not read any of them. I had actually met Rebekah at Indies at a Polycon. At Indies Invade Philly quite a few years ago. However, I hadn't read any of her books. Then when she released The Last Letter and I got to read it as an ARC, I was done for. Loved this book, and just want to read everything that Rebekah Yarros gives me now. I have her backlist to work through, and I'm super excited about reading those backlists. I now follow her on Instagram and her Facebook group, and she has some amazing things that she's doing. She has so many kids. She's a military wife, and she has an adoptive daughter that is biracial, and I love it because the way that she is taking on that responsibility, it's not in a bad way. If she has questions, she throws them out there, and yes, just so many yeses. Rebekah is so amazing. For the March nomination, I went with Marni Mann, and this is an author that I had not read until I went to a Polycon, and in preparation for a Polycon, I read her book When Ashes Fall, and whoa, she blew my mind with that one. And ever since, I have been reading her books and getting through her backlist and learning that she can give twisty, crazy, emotional reads like no other. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. The April nomination goes to Dylan Allen. This is an author that I had heard about prior to actually meeting her at a Polycon, and now that I have, and I've read her book, I read her book on the podcast of Read Me Romance, which was Between Now and Forever, I think it was. I'll make sure I put the cover in there. And she drew me in with the story. I was like, ooh, and I started to have a conversation with her after I had met her and listened to this podcast, and I was just like, oh, yes, so many yeses. She's like best friends with Kennedy Ryan, and as you guys know, I love me some Kennedy Ryan. So yes, this is a Black author as well, so definitely go check out her work if you haven't, because it's amazing. I'm so drawn into this author. The May nomination goes to Naima Simone, and I listened to the podcast audiobook of Grading Curves by her, and now I am like trying to devour everything Naima Simone. In Grading Curves, she gave us a older female character, a mature character, and so many yeses. She gave me sexy, she gave me just so much yumminess. I could relate to the character. I was so here for it. This is a Black author as well, so definitely go check her out. The June nomination goes to Talia Hibbard. I ended up reading, what was the first book? I believe it was the first book in the Ravenwood series. And this was in preparation because I had put out the feeler to possibly get a Life Chloe Brown. So I wanted to sort of read a book before I read that one, and loved it. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Or maybe Chloe Brown came first. I'll make sure that I put the first book that I read of hers here. But Talia Hibbert is a British Black author, and she was so spot on. She gives so much good mental health rep in her books, and it's all different levels. It's nothing stagnant. It's very different. You can always find a character that you are relatable to or relate to, and their struggles. I just really enjoyed her writing and have dove into her catalog like no other. The July nomination goes to Rebekah Weatherspoon. I ended up reading Wraith because I had heard about this book. It is a male nanny book, which is like non-existent anywhere, and as soon as I read it, I was like, yes, so much yes. It gives me Grey's Anatomy feel. It gives me just goodness because it's a male nanny, and he's not like a foo-foo nanny. He's not like over the top. He is a ginger, and he's strong, and he's yummy, and I was just here for it. It's interracial. Yes, this is a Black author, so make sure you guys go check her out. I am diving into her old books and just here for them. Here for them. Lots of different reps that go along in her stories, and yes, so many yeses. The August nomination goes to Katherine Center. I read her Things You Save in a Fire, and I am not a huge women's lit lover, but Katherine does something so special with her books that I read Things You Save in a Fire, and then I had to read How to Walk Away. I'm super excited to read her new book that she has coming out in 2020, and I got to meet her during my Nora Roberts book signing event, and she's just so sweet, and I love it. She brings the romance, but at the same time has this very centric sort of feeling about a woman's journey, and I was here for it. So here for it. The September nomination goes to L.H. Cosway, and I had not read any of L.H. Cosway's books. I met her in June or July at Girls Are Back in Town. I ordered the series that I read for her of The Hooker and the Hermit, and that she co-writes with Penny Reed. Never read the books, but I was like, I'm gonna read these because they're sports romance, and loved them. Loved the series, and can't wait to read more. I had collected books from L.H. Cosway before, but I hadn't read them, and now I am working my way through her backlist, so you guys will be hearing that name here in the future. The October nomination goes to Magan Vernon, and I received, once again, I do this a lot for some reason, I received some books from Magan during a giveaway, and I had not gotten around to reading them. However, I found them in October over on Hoopla, and in audiobook form. I listened to them. They were amazing. They're about the Murphy brothers, and I really enjoyed that series, and just, yes, so many yeses. I've now connected with Megan. We talk online, and she's super sweet. She's very kind, and I'm here for it. Here for it. Looking forward to jumping into the rest of her books if I haven't read them all already, and yes, so many yeses. And the November nomination goes to Lucy Eden. I read Everything's Better with Kimberly for her as an arc before it released, and from there I was like, yes, give me all the backlist books. I think I was like 50% into this book and was like, where are the rest of the books? I need all the rest of the books. I went and bought every single one of Lucy Eden's other books, just so I can have them in my library so I can start reading the backlist. This is another Black author. You guys need to go check her out. She is amazing. She has some amazing book art that she puts on her Instagram, and I am here for it. For it. She's amazing. She's super sweet. I talked to her on Instagram, and yes, go check her out. So the December nomination will remain a secret until the live show that I am doing for the awards in January. Let me know if you have read any of the authors that I have just talked about. Are there some books that I haven't read? Because I'm only putting up the first book that I read for each one of the authors that I'm going to talk about. I may talk about other books. I may have talked about other books, but their first books are the ones that I'm placing in this video. Let me know if you've read any of their backlist and what you thought about them as people, as characters. Well, not people. Let me know what you think about their works down in the comment section. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Also, make sure you're checking out these wonderful, wonderful authors. All my socials and everything like that are in the description box. There's a feedback form down in the description box as well, so you guys can help me improve my channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.